So the issue is expectations.
Yeah.
What do we expect from these ancient texts as we come to get to read them as people in our context?
I can't expect a fully modern understanding
Yeah.
of the universe or even of some aspects of the human condition that maybe we've become aware of in ways that the text does not reflect.
Uh-huh.
Um, but if I bring the expectation that this is going to meet my modern expectations, I'm going to be disappointed.
Exactly.
But if I bring an expectation that says, okay, this is an ancient text, but maybe it's also telling me something of value that transcends its own time and space, well, yeah, then maybe I'll find that. I'm open to that possibility.
Yeah.
And I think we all know how to kind of tailor our expectations to what it is
Yeah.
we're reading
Yeah.
or viewing. And we
Uh-huh.
do that all the time.
Uh-huh.
If I'm reading, the New York Times, I have a certain expectation of what those articles are going to be, offering. Or if I'm reading an opinion piece, on the editorial page, I have an expectation.
Yes.
Um,
And it's different from a Facebook post.
yeah,
If you're
yeah.
looking at a Facebook post, you don't have the same expectations.
Yeah, or if I'm reading a novel,
Uh-huh.
even kind of a historical novel, but it's fictional, in nature, I don't have the expectation that there's a kind of accuracy that I would have if I'm reading, a serious piece of history
Yeah.
that's trying to tell me the history of the United States of America in the last, over the last 3 centuries or something.
Mhm.
I have a different set of expectations,
Yeah.
and we all know how to do that.
Yeah.
I also think about like movies.
Uh-huh.
Um, I don't watch a serious documentary the same way I watch a Jim Carrey movie, which is
Mhm.
comedy.
Yes, exactly.
I
You
have
expect them
different.
to laugh.
Yeah, I expect to laugh. I don't expect it to be trying to tell me, accurate things. It's supposed to entertain me.
Mhm.
Um, so if we can do that with all these other genres of either literature or film or something, then we need to bring that same sensitivity to our reading of an ancient text.
That's right.
It is what it is.
Mhm.
Let's read it well.
Yeah.
So, what would be some of the maybe better expectations that we could bring?
Yeah. So one is recognizing where we are in our context and also giving attention to where they are in their context. I think that's a very important thing to bring to the forefront. I just can't bring my conclusions that I have about what I see and what I understand with all these tools that I've gathered and expect them to see what I see as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't expect, or it's not helpful if I'm thinking someone writing, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, whether we're talking about biblical texts or anything else. I can't expect them to be informed on some things like maybe we're informed because of things that have been discovered or awareness we have.
Yeah.
Maybe an example of helpful expectations. I think Paul sets some expectations in his letter we call Second Timothy
Mhm.
3:16. It's a very classic text about scripture and being inspired, but he sets some expectations. He says all scripture is inspired by God and is useful for teaching, for showing people what is wrong in their lives, for correcting faults, and for teaching how to live
Mhm.
right. So he's saying the kind of and he's looking at what he means by scripture is stuff that's centuries old.
Yeah.
He's not talking about his writings.
Exactly.
He's saying when I read the Proverbs or when I read the Psalms or
Uh-huh.
when I read about the story of Moses or something, Paul centuries later than those events and when those texts were produced, he's saying, here's what I find. I find something that's helpful for teaching. Like it instructs me in some way.
Yeah.
Um, he says it can show me what's wrong with the way I'm living
Mhm.
and can correct that. So that it's kind of a spiritual expectation of, I think, about those classic philosophical questions like, who am I?
Mhm. Who is God?
Yeah, who's God? What does it mean to live in a good manner?
Mhm.
What is goodness?
What is the good life?
Yeah, what is a good
Yeah.
life? Is it a life of selfishness? Is it a life of serving others? So, why am I here? What is meaningful? How can I find meaning in life? It's those kinds of questions that to me, Paul is saying that's what makes well, for him, Scripture inspired.
Mhm.
It's inspired because it addresses these sorts of matters in my life.
Yeah.
He's not saying it's inspired, therefore it's going to give me, accurate information about geography or something.
Uh-huh.
He's not even interested in geographical issues.
Yeah.
He's interested in how do I live,
Mm.
and where am I needing to be corrected?
Yeah.
Like, where am I living wrong
Mhm.
in a way that's not helpful to myself and others?
Mm.
So I think those are the kind of expectations that are helpful